Once you have this paper on monomials, the first thing you're going to do is fold it in half. You just fold it directly in half. Make a nice crease, and then cut it in half along that crease. This is going to leave you with two separate half pages of notes. And we're going to start on the one that says monomials. So here we go. Monomial is one term that can have constants, variables, and exponents. So let's talk about what is a monomial. What are some examples of a monomial? And I'm going to just list a bunch of examples, right? This is a monomial, x. Okay, it's one term. Here's another monomial, y. Right, so a variable is a monomial. How about 12? That's a monomial, right? Or -7, that's a monomial, because these are each just one term. So these are very simple monomials, right? This is a variable, this is a constant, this is a constant, this is a variable, right? But it can also be something that has constants, variables, and exponents. So like here's one that has a constant and a variable, 2x. That's still a monomial. It's still just one term. It's a constant and a variable being multiplied together, but it's still one term, right? 9z, still a monomial. I can add an exponent too, right? Look, x squared, that's a monomial. Look, I can even combine a constant, a variable, and an exponent. 3z cubed. That's still a monomial, right? I can do -5x squared. Still a monomial. So all of these are monomials. They're one term. It can include constants, variables, and exponents. Sometimes it's only a variable or only a constant. Sometimes it's all three. Okay? Now, here's a monomial. Let's make sure we know the pieces. Label, variable, right? Feel free to do this in color, right? Like I could do this. I could underline variable in blue, and I could box the variable in blue, right? Because y is the variable here. Y is my unknown. Let me find another color. I'm going to go next to exponent. The exponent is this number here. And then last, here I use the word constant up here to describe a number, and here I use the word coefficient. Both are correct for this number 21. 21 is a constant, right? 21 doesn't change. It's always going to be, right? It's not a variable. It's not like 21 can be 3 or 4. It's always 21. So in that sense, it's a constant. It stays the same. But in the case where it's being multiplied by a variable, it's called a coefficient. So I have a coefficient, 21, I have a variable, y, and I have an exponent, 2. So that's still a monomial. Now we're going to be focusing on monomials for a little bit when we talk about exponents, but this is, so monomial, mono means one. That's what it means, right? And if you see another word with mono in it, it means one. Binomial, bi means two, like a bicycle has two wheels. And so a binomial is an expression with two terms. Look, here's one term, 9x, -2. Two terms, right? Here's one term, 4a, +4b, two terms. A trinomial, tricycle has three wheels, is an expression with three terms, right? Here's 1, 2, 3. Here's 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's called a trinomial if it has three terms. And then a polynomial is an expression that has multiple terms. It can have two, right? Like this one, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 100. Poly just means many. It means more than one. Okay, so a little bit of vocabulary first, right? And some of this vocabulary is familiar to you, like exponent and coefficient and variable and stuff. Right, so we're going to keep this vocabulary in a notebook so you can reference it. And then the last thing we want to discuss before we get into actually multiplying and using exponents and all of that is just the idea of products and factors. This is a monomial, and it is 14 times x times y. Remember, when things are multiplied, it's called a product. Okay, so this monomial is a product of 14x and y. So we want to know what are the factors. So the factors of this one are 14, x, and y. And I can even break it down further. 14 can be broken down into 7 and 2. Those are the factors of 14. So really, this monomial is a product of 7 times 2 times x times y. How about 20? B squared. So look, let's start with the 20, right? I'm going to just bring down the 20 first. What is b squared? What's being multiplied there? Well, that's b times b. Okay, and then let's just go ahead and factor out 20. So this is 10 times 2. You could have done 5 times 4, doesn't matter. Times b times b. And I realize, oh, 10 can still be factored. So let's make this 5 times 2. Bring down this 2. Times b times b. So this one monomial is actually the product of 5 numbers. 5, 2, 2, b, and b. How about the factors of 30 times k times m squared? So let's just bring down the 30 for a moment. We'll get to it. This is times k times m times m. And then we could just factor this real quick. This is 3 times 10, and we know that that 10 factors to 5 and 2. So 30 times k times m squared is actually 3 times 5 times 2 times k times m times m. Okay? This idea of products and factors is going to really help you when you get to multiplying monomials and exponents to recognize that they're actually broken down into many parts.